All right, now, if you realize yesterday the palm prices were released late in the night, and we've always debated why did they release those palm prices very late at night? Is it that we sleep over the new prices so that when we wake up, we're a little bit at peace? Well, when we woke up today, the Energy Cabinet Secretary and also the Director General of Energy and Petroleum Regulatory Authority, that is Daniel Kipto, they appeared before the Energy Committee in Parliament. Now, this is the National Assembly Committee, and they had a back and forth in regards to palm prices, but also power outages or blackouts. And right now, joining us from Parliament, National Assembly, it's Jasmine Murani. Good afternoon, Jasmine. I mean, that back and forth between the government and legislators who are in the Energy Committee, bring us to that. How did they respond to these key issues, palm prices and power outages?
Well, interesting that you mentioned that, Noah. Now, what is happening here, what had just concluded here in Parliament buildings, is that the energy sector and mostly all CEOs of the sagas in the energy sector were appearing before the National Assembly Committee on Energy to just answer a few questions on what has been sort of a battle scene. The energy sector has been referred to as a very unpredictable and volatile sector. Now, as you remember, yesterday, what happened was a shocker. Kenyans were hit by an increase of up to 33 shillings for kerosene, 21 shillings for diesel, and 16 shillings, if I'm not missing that, for petrol. It is a shock. Kenyans woke up today and people cannot believe what is happening here in the country. Now, EPRA has come out to say that there are a few reasons as to why these prices have jumped in such high regard. Now, top of that list is the production cuts. The production cuts by the Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries, and this is OPEC. Now, what has happened is that the countries that export fuel have cut production by up to 3.66 million barrels a day. Now, that is obviously going to have an impact on the export of fuel, and the impact here being that the prices of fuel have shot up. Now, the Russia-Ukraine war has also greatly affected the prices of fuel, and this is according to EPRA. They're saying that the sanction on Russian oil ships have largely disrupted the balance and demand, the balance of supply and demand. Now, the other thing that EPRA is saying has affected the prices is also the increased demand for heating oil. Now, as you may be aware, in the northern hemisphere, winter is approaching. Now, heating oil such as diesel and kerosene are usually in high demand at such a time. Now, what is happening is that because of this demand, the prices are going up. And that is not all. There's also the limited refining capacity by this OMCs, or rather international oil marketing companies. What is happening with that is that many refineries have sort of shut down for maintenance, for health and safety, because then you realize that this is a bit of a hot time. So that is also affecting the prices of fuel. Now, what happened in there is that the DG has admitted that in the next, say, 1 to 2 months, we're not going to see a reduction in fuel prices. That is not going to happen. He did allude to that fact, and this, he was answering a question in regard to whether we're going to see a reduction in fuel prices in any time soon. Now, remember, Moses Kuria has also, and this is a CS for Trade, has gone on Twitter, or X as you might call it, and said that Kenyans can expect an increase of 10 shillings up until February of 2024. Now, we cannot verify those claims, but what I can tell you factually and decisively is that the EPRA DG has alluded to some sort of increase in the next 1 to 2 months. Now, allow me to just compare the prices, and these are the current global and regional palm prices. Allow me to compare the prices that we have here in Kenya to the prices that we have in Uganda and Tanzania, for instance. And this is this is a last pricing cycle in Uganda, for instance. So in Uganda, petrol is, and this is super petrol, is retailing at 197.49 shillings, and that is the equivalent of Kenyan shillings. This is not Ugandan shillings. It is retailing at 197.49 cents, and this is in Uganda. In Tanzania, it is retailing at 187.68 shillings, 187.68 shilling in Tanzania. So when you now bring Kenya into the picture, and we currently selling fuel at 211 for super petrol, at the moment, you see a huge disparity there, despite the fact that the energy sector is remaining firm, that we are competing favorably in the region and elsewhere. In fact, in South Africa, their fuel prices, and this is for super petrol, they are currently selling super petrol at 187 shillings 0.47 cents. Now, Noah, what is going to happen? What can we predict from the high fuel prices that have just hit Kenyans? One, we can say the increase in diesel, for instance, the shoot by 21 shillings in diesel is going to drive inflation very, very fast. And this is going to, and the market is going to respond fast and soon. Those 21 shillings are going to affect the prices of everything, the prices of food, the prices of other commodities, the prices of say transport, the prices of travel. We're going to see a huge increment in the prices of basic commodities across the country. Now, this is not to say that the prices are not already high. So from the high prices that we have, expect that is going to jump dramatically. So that is all, Noah, from here in Parliament, except one other thing that did happen, and allow me to just squeeze this in. There was also the issue of the blackout, the nationwide blackout that was experienced in the country on 25th of August. Now, this is what the committee has actually been investigating until this happened. So what has come out is that the figures, rather the time codes that EPRA has and those that the Ministry of Energy have, are very different. So we cannot at this point say affirmatively who caused what. Is it Lake Turkana Wind Power that sort of brought out the issue of the blackout, or is it KPLC? Because the two do not agree. And we've just had the energy sector there saying that these results were not conclusive, and they do need a bit of time to sort of truly and affirmatively say that this is what happened and not this other. So for that, we can't really say who did what or who didn't do what. It is just a waiting game as the energy sector continues to investigate the issue.
All right.
Back to you, Noah.
Thank you very much, Jasmine Murani, for that update on matters energy. And we really appreciate